Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. So I found this video. I believe this interviewer is Sway interviewing the Somali supermodel Iman, and it must have been back in the 80s or the 90s. And she is actually speaking on something that we talk about a lot, and that is how white people try to pit black people against each other. We know that they want enemies for us. They want enemies for us for a number of reasons, and they want the world to believe that we are the worst of the worst. And they don't ever miss an opportunity to say it to anybody that will listen. But it's very rare that somebody has had a firsthand experience with this and then speaks on it for what it is. So Iman refused to let them turn her into an enemy of Black Americans. And I think that's very smart.
One. But also what they did with me is that they would say to me in a whole white room, they will say to me, but you're more beautiful than them. Who's them? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they try to instill that in you, that you are better, because they need to have one person, right? So, and I always took that to an offense. And I've always said to them, and they would say, they've said like, and the black community will say, she looks like a white woman dipped in chocolate. I took an offense to that because I am a Somali. I have not a drop of blood of white in me.
Not one drop.
Not a drop. I'm pure Somali.
There you go.
Yeah,
Come
so
on.
I didn't want anybody to actually put me into that language or any white person to take any credit of how I look because I have white in me. I don't have any white in me.
You better talk your shit. You better talk your shit.
I like that. She said, I didn't want any white person to take credit for how I look. I don't have a drop of white blood in me. But notice, though, what she says they were trying to do. They were trying to make her and Beverly Johnson competitors. They don't do that to white models. White models don't all look the same either. So one white model might be blonde, one might be a redhead, one might be a brunette, and they're all supermodels making good money. But when you're a black model, they just want one black model, and she's got to be at the top, and then nobody else can touch her. And at the time, Beverly Johnson was the top model. And Beverly Johnson is outspoken too. But they wanted to pit the African model against the American model. And of course, with the Africans, they feel like they're not going to cause any trouble. They're not going to say anything about the makeup not being right. They're not going to say anything. But now in Iman, they had somebody that was outspoken. The Somalis are a little different. I've had some experience with them, and they are a little different than the other African immigrants. They wanted to instill in her the idea that she was better than Black Americans. Because at the end of the day, white people really want Black people back like it was in the 1950s. They never wanted us to have any freedom. They never wanted us to evolve. They never wanted to have to go to work for themselves. They always wanted us to work and they take the money. Free labor. That is what they have always wanted from us. And they are never going to get over that. So that is why this continual hatred and animosity towards black people. They want the American dream back. The American dream was really back in the 1800s during slavery when they could come here broke, a bum from Europe, and get their hands on a slave or two, work them to death, and end up being rich. That's really what they want. And they will be perpetually angry at us because they couldn't keep us in bondage forever. Pitting black against black is what they do. That's what they like to do. They're having some problems up in Minnesota with the Somalis because they're not as easily controlled as they would like for them to be. And I was working on a video about that when I came across this one. But anyway, shout out to Iman for standing on business and for not allowing them to use her to do their dirty work. Contrast that with Cynthia Erivo, a Nigerian immigrant who came over here and right away pissed everybody off. Now, many black Americans can't stand her and don't want her to have anything to do with black American culture. Black American models opened the door for black women in fashion. They still wanted somebody to pit against the black models. And Iman was at least smart enough not to let them do that with her. So shout out to Iman. Okay, but y'all let me know what you think about this. She gonna come and tell the real story about how they try to operate, trying to turn black people against black people. They don't do that to anybody else. They don't try to turn anybody else against anybody. It's just us. It's just an obsession. They are never going to get over it. They will never get over it. So we just have to do what we do. But let me know what you think about this. Thank you for listening. Give me a thumbs up and have a good evening.